Hello everyone, Jack here again from Forbidden Planet, here once more in the Forbidden Planet TV studios to go through all of the things I'm picking up off the shelf this week, this new comic book day. We've got a range of single issues that I'm really excited for and a deluxe edition of one of the most prolific, at least to me, stories in comics history, which we'll get into at the very end. So let's get cracking on everything that I'm picking up this week. Starting off strong, we have Batman issue 4 from Matt Fraction and Jorge Jimenez, and as you can see from the cover, we are being introduced to a brand new villain, kicking off the first major, big, overarching story arc, I think, for the Fraction run, and that is the Minotaur, an image that sparked quite a bit of controversy online when it initially released. Jorge Jimenez very deliberately giving the Minotaur 5 fingers, and in this age of deception and generated imagery, a lot of people were like, oh, that's a mistake, you've given him 5 fingers, that must be AI generated. And Jorge Jimenez was like, no, it's got 5 fingers. Read it and find out. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. I am really looking forward to see where the next action-packed arc of this Batman series goes. From what I've seen in previews and from what I know about future issues going forward that have already been solicited, I think this arc might be very similar to Court of Owls in a lot of ways. Scott Snyder's Court of Owls, that initial arc that kicked off the New 52 run, one of the big first new number ones for Batman back in 2011, which is when I was really getting into monthly single issues as well. As we all know from Greek mythology, when you get a Minotaur, there has to be a labyrinth. So I think a maze of crime network syndicateness is boiling in Gotham, and Batman in this part of the run will have to deal with that and the consequences. I'm also getting huge Squid Game vibes. And when I think of Squid Game, which I've actually only ever done the first series of, haven't done the rest. I definitely should. I know people recommend it to me. They said I'm going to love it, so I will do it eventually. But a big part of that series is the people behind the curtain who instigate the games and whose evil machinations are the catalyst for it. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Minotaur very much takes on the role of that character as overseer of a much larger, troublesome array of characters that we're going to be introduced to in this run. So yes, Batman issue 4, and as always, the Tedesco variant I'm picking up. Finally, in the Watchtower for the crescendo of this initial heist here in Cheetah and Cheshire Rob the Justice League from Greg Rucka and Nicholas Scott. This fantastic variant cover from Gerald Perel is just as the cardstock variants now do for DC, hiding the original cover A underneath there. So there is no excuse for me to not pick up variants anymore, because I'm basically getting 2 covers in one. Right? I said very early on when talking about this series, it reminds me so much of the Ocean's movies, those great comedy heist films, and it's certainly that in style. It's very tongue-in-cheek, and that really helps drive an ensemble of characters I'm not overly familiar with. Obviously, they're all villains, and a big part of that is having to make them amenable and likable in a lot of ways, and that of course isn't a difficult job for Rucka and Scott in this book, because they give them such humanity and such vibrancy that it's a palpable dynamic. And the growth of the characters through the series so far has certainly kept me engaged, and I'm really enjoying it. I can't recommend it enough. We should be getting a trade paperback very soon. Yeah, absolutely love it. Moving on to the issue 1s this week. Now, one I am really excited for, even though I'm going in with not as much context as I normally would for an ongoing series. We actually have a new Doctor Strange issue 1 with this wonderfully gorgeous Alex Hawley cover. You know about our love here at Forbidden Planet for Alex Hawley and all of his work in Titan Comics Conan. So if you haven't had a chance to go and grab a copy of Conan the Barbarian issue 25, or basically anything ever that Alex Hawley has touched, or anything Conan really that's coming out of time, because it's all been class. Liam Sharp, looking at you. Then head down to an FP and raid the shelves as much as you can for all of that. But yes, we are here in Asgard once again with Doctor Strange, no longer the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth, but indeed the Sorcerer Supreme of Asgard, and now all of the Norse mythology and the magic weirdness that comes with that and the remainder of the realms is now at the fingertips of Stephen Strange, and he is its protector, with a cast of characters normally familiar with Thor, obviously Sif, Angela as well, coming over from the Spawn universe many years ago and is now Marvel, but now in her own right, a staple of the Asgardian lineup of characters and rogues. So really looking forward to seeing how Strange interacts further in this world. He was already there, obviously, in the mini-series that occurred earlier last year, which set up his time in Asgard. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where this goes, especially because the writer on the series is Derek Landy. Now, Derek Landy is no stranger to writing comics before, but it's a name a lot of you, and me specifically, will know from another series, and that is Skullduggery Pleasant, the skeleton PI detective series that I grew up reading. I think I managed to grab a box set in a Scope charity shop, what, 15 years ago, something like that. Absolutely love it, and have been able to read so many more of the books in that series since. There's so much more that I haven't, which I really should go and do. But you're never too old to pick up a Skullduggery Pleasant. That is the rule. Really excited to see him on Doctor Strange and leaning more into that mysticism and mythology, and that's what I know his wheelhouse is. So Doctor Strange is going to be a big pickup for me, and an ongoing series that I'm really looking forward to just falling in love with. Having already mentioned DCKO this week, there is of course releasing some essential reading, and that is round 1 of the tournament. Yes, if you are reading DCKO, you're going to need to pick these up, because this is where the action is. The 16 champions that were selected and survived the events of issue 2 of DCKO are now going head to head and being pitted against one another in the grand tournament to get to the Heart of Apocalypse. And round 1 is Superman versus Captain Atom. 2 hulking great cosmic beings are going to be throwing punches at each other like there's no tomorrow, and you do not want to miss the outcome of this, because it will have ramifications not only in the other rounds but for the series as a whole, as we follow these 16 whittling themselves down to get to the very end. So yes, if you're reading DCKO, you're going to need to pick up Superman versus Captain Atom. And finally, for issue 1s this week, some of you may already be aware that this iteration of the Ultimate Universe is coming to an end very soon in Ultimate Endgame. All the diabolical plans of the maker and their impact on this version of the Ultimate Universe are coming to a head very, very soon as Ultimate Endgame approaches just along the horizon. But before we get there, we have to do a little bit of celebrating, and we have to meet a few new characters, and we do so in this week's Ultimate Universe 2 years in from Denise Camp and Alex Paknadel. Yes, this iteration, this Ultimate Universe's Guardians of the Galaxy are here, and it is their job to do what they can to prevent the Maker's plans from coming to fruition, to stop his dastardliness from destroying the Ultimate Universe. And in doing so, we get to meet a host of new characters, including the new Ultimate Daredevil, which is super exciting. Every part of time and space that we get to visit in this book has a different art style. We have the wonderful honour of plenty of different artists in this book putting their own stamp on the Ultimate Universe as we draw closer to the finale. And as well, if you're picking up a copy this week, you can bring it along to the London Megastore, the Forbidden Planet London Megastore, on December 13th, as we are going to be joined by Alex Paknadel himself. We are so excited to be welcoming Alex as part of our big Xmas gathering on December 13th at the London Megastore. Alex is just one part of a huge day of signings. We have a Battle Action signing in the morning with Garth Ennis, Keith Burns, and a host of other creatives on the Battle Action title that are going to be there to celebrate those. We have Alex obviously coming in to celebrate Ultimate Universe, and then we are capping off the event that evening with an appearance from Jock to celebrate Absolute Batman 15 and his interior work in bringing us the Absolute Joker, as well as his Art of Judge Dredd art book, which we will be signing copies of. Everyone's going to be signing copies of everything. Everyone's going to be chatting about everything. It's a great chance to ask questions of all of these creators and to chat comics and to get some of your favourite work from them signed and just to meet them and say hi, which is always the best thing to be doing at these events. And we can't wait to welcome all of them along on December 13th. But before that, make sure you pick up a copy of Ultimate Universe so you're up to speed on where the Ultimate Universe is indeed heading, and also so you can chat more about it with Alex, because I'm sure this issue is going to leave us with some burning questions, and I can't wait to try and weasel some answers out of him. I'm sure he won't give them, but I'm going to try. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning, there is a deluxe edition of a graphic novel of a very famous DC storyline that is now available. There's been deluxe editions before, but this is the latest iteration of it, the latest printing, and it's a story that means a great deal to me. Some of you know that Nightwing is my favourite comic book character ever. Obviously, Dick Grayson as Robin was great as well, but Nightwing for me is where Dick Grayson sort of just became the hero that I adore and I love and I champion as the best comic character ever. But some of you may not know when that occurred, and that was in Tales of the Teen Titans issue 44, which was part of a much larger arc from Marv Wolfman and George Perez, these two bastions of comicdom. They were so integral to developing the characters that we love and know today, not just in DC, but over at Marvel as well. Wonder Woman wouldn't be Wonder Woman without George Perez. Parts of Batman wouldn't be Batman without Marv Wolfman. Honestly, they are two of the most prolific figures for me in comics and for many people. And obviously, sadly, George Perez is no longer with us. So any chance to celebrate his impact, you cannot not do it because he deserves that and because his work does as well. And I'll stop nattering on and show the book. Teen Titans Judas Contract, part of what kicked off the Teen Titans as a much more adult, darker series, which really solidified them as a staple of part of DC's lineup for many years. They were one of the #1 selling books during that period. They, teen books weren't necessarily doing very well, and Marv Wolfman and George Perez completely just flipped it on its head with Teen Titans and made them what they are today, and more so. And the Judas Contract is such an integral story to accomplishing that goal, and also in presenting us with versions of characters that are the staple now, and the maturity with which their characters are handled in the way the story progresses, just in the sheer development of the work is unparalleled, I think. And if you don't already own a copy of the Judas Contract, if you're a fan of Teen Titans and you've never read it, if you've read it 1,000 times and you've worn the book out and you need a new edition, pick up the new Teen Titans Judas Contract Deluxe Edition from DC. It's a beautiful work of art, and I'm really excited to have another edition on my shelf, because the more editions I have on the shelf, the more times I can lend out the Judas Contract and get people to read it. So if you haven't done so already, now's your time. So yes, thank you as always for watching and hearing about all the different bits and pieces I'm picking up. There's plenty more on the shelf. You can see some of them behind me, but if you head to your local Forbidden Planet, there's going to be hordes of bits and pieces that are available for you to check out, not just on the shelf, but you can also head to forbiddenplanet.com, where you can order any of the books that we've spoken about today in this video and pre-order books that are coming out. If you want to make sure you guarantee yourself a copy of anything that's on the horizon that's coming out over the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, has already been solicited, then make sure you get your pre-orders in, make sure you start subscriptions so you don't miss out on a single issue. As always, again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely week. I hope you get to read some amazing books, because I know they're on the shelf because I'm reading them as well. And I will see you next week for a host of new comics. Thanks very much.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.